Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
I'm going to be talking about the Battle of Uhud. The Battle of Uhud began on the 3rd Hijri on the month of Shawwal on the Hijazi region in 65 CE. The Battle of Uhud started when the Bad Quraysh lost the Battle of Badr, and they became very angry and very sad. When they lost the Battle of Badr, they left a lot of crops and weapons. They became even more angrier. Abu Sufyan decided to go to destroy Medina so they could destroy the Muslims permanently. And when the Prophet heard the news, he made 4 groups to spread around to get more soldiers. And they spread around to get more soldiers. And altogether they got 1,000 Muslim soldiers only, and against the 1,000 Bad Quraysh. So how the battle started, the Muslims had a meeting and asked some of the people to give some ideas, and the Munafiq, which were the false Muslims, said that when they were fighting, they were inside Medina, and so that the women would help. And then another Sahaba said, why don't we just go out in outdoors and just show the Meccan how strong we are. And the Prophet chose that idea. And then when they got to the Uhud, when they got to the Uhud mountain, the Munafiq betrayed the Muslims, and there were 300 who left, and now there were only 700 Muslim soldiers. In the meanwhile, Quraysh were planning out what to do when the battle was on. They decided to fight face to face to the Muslims, but because of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's smart idea, he decided to place his army in between the Mount Uhud and another hill, so that both of the sides were protected. So one of the sides was protected, but the other wasn't. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam decided to put 50 people on the hill. So when the Bad Quraysh decided to attack, the people on the hill would attack them back. And the people on the hill were good at throwing arrows. So when the Bad Quraysh reached the battlefield, Abu Sufyan said they didn't want to fight with the Ansar, which were the Medina's Muslims, and soldiers didn't accept his request, and he got rejected from his proposal. Then Abu Sufyan had another idea. He asked Abu Amir because he was a very strong leader or something, but they still didn't listen to him. So then a Bad Quraysh came up to the battlefield, and they wanted to fight with a man. And from the Muslims battle, a man called Abu Zubair decided to fight, and obviously Zubair won. The battle started, and the Prophet advised them before they start the fight that you guys have to stay on that hill no matter what. So then when the battle has started, people on the horses were trying to get to the other side. In that group, there was a leader called Abu Khalid who decided to go a few times to go to the other side. However, the people on the hill shooted as much as they could, so they wouldn't be able to escape. And when the Muslims saw that they almost won, they started to fight even harder so they could win. Then Abu Sufyan's wife, her name was Hind, she asked her slave Javelin to kill Hamza radiallahu anhu to get her revenge from killing because Hamza killed him. So Javelin decided to go behind a big rock and shoot the arrow behind the Hamza radiallahu anhu, and he died. In the old times, there was no rule to throw arrows behind their backs. So then when everybody heard this, the bad Quraysh became really happy, and however the Muslims became very sad. And then a man who was in the bad Quraysh's battle got a stone and hit it in Prophet's mouth, and his lips started to gush blood out, and one of his tooth broke, and then another man threw an arrow to his shoulder, and he was really so much pain that pain didn't go until 1 month later. So the Muslims thought that because, and then there was a man who looked similar to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and one of the Quraysh killed him, and then that Quraysh told everybody that the Prophet had died. And then the Muslims became very sad and decided to run away from the battlefield. However, one of the Muslims saw that the Prophet was fighting. So the man who said, he told everybody, and everybody ran back to the battlefield. When they like thought that the Muslims thought that they won, but the people on the hill made the biggest mistake in history. When they saw that the bad Quraysh left the battlefield, they thought that they won, and because they left a lot of crops and weapons, they were greedy. And however, Shaitan was convincing them to get the weapons. And that was the biggest mistake. They ran down, 10 people ran down to get the crops and weapons. 3 men went to get all of the things that they left up, and 10 men were staying on that hill. And one of them was Abu Zubair, who clearly followed the Prophet's order. And when the Prophet saw that there was no chance that we would win, he had 2 options. One of them was to leave the battlefield, and the second option was to fight to save the Muslims' lives. Obviously, he chose the second option, which was to save other people's lives and win. So he went to the battle. However, he knew that there was no chance to win. So this time he took the first option and decided to leave the battlefield. Then they all climbed up to the Uhud mountain to keep them safe. So 70 Muslims died in the battle, and 4 of them were the Muhajirin, and 35 of them were the Ansar, the Medina's Muslims. And on the bad Quraysh side, 35 of them died. So obviously the bad Quraysh had won, only for the biggest mistake that the people on the hill had made. So, however, Abu Sufyan was still not happy even if they win, because their goal was to kill the Prophet so that he wouldn't spread Islam any longer. So for that reason, some of the bad Quraysh cut off some of the good Muslims who died and took their body parts and cut them off. Hind made the worst option. She told one of her slaves to cut off chest, she cut off his belly and take his liver out, and she chewed on it. When she did that terrible job, she only did it because after killing her father, Utbah, when the bad Quraysh had left, the Muslims slowly came down from the mountain and buried some of the good Muslims who had fought in the battle. So he buried them in that place, and when he saw Hamza's body laying on the floor, he started to cry really, really badly. The only reason this battle had happened was because the only reason to follow the one and only God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thank you for listening.